Good day, everyone, especially to our beloved panelists and research advisors. We are the Group 2 of DITI-led Home Economics 4A.
We're here to present our research proposal entitled Effectiveness of Print Media as Mode for Modular Learning to the Senior High School Students of Liloan National Technical Vocational High School Competency Level. So, to begin with, Mary Antoinette Amplayo will discuss the background of the study.
To start with, I am going to present the background of the study. As an alternative strategy to continue the educational operation, modular learning or blended learning and synchronous learning are some of the immediate resources for education, especially when the pandemic hits our country. Modular learning, blended learning, and simultaneous learning are some of the immediate remedies for education as an alternative technique to continue the educational function of the teaching and learning process. Thus, this study aims to determine the effectiveness of print media as mode for modular learning to the senior high school students of the Liloan National Technical Vocational High School, and to further determine the senior high school TVO track students' competency level. And now, I am going to present the statement of the problem. So, there are three specific statements of the problem in this study. First, is to identify the demographic profile of the senior high school students, civil students from selected respondents of Liloan National Technical Vocational High School. First, we're going to determine their age, address, and gender. So, these three are only the basic information that we will get from the respondents. Then second, to determine the competency level of the TVL students in modular classes in terms of their performances. Then third, to determine the effectiveness of modular learning modality amidst COVID-19 pandemic significant to the PBL track.
Our study has the following hypothesis. First is the effect of modular learning modality during COVID-19 pandemic is not significant to the TVL senior high school students' competency level in Liloan National Technical Vocational High School. The second is there is no significant difference on the competency level of TVL senior high school students between pre-pandemic and pandemic school year. Our significance of the study, this will be the beneficial primarily to the school of the following: the school supervisors, Department of Education, teachers, parents, students, and other research. The significance of the study will be beneficial primarily to the school and the following: school supervisors, Department of Education, teachers, parents, students, and other researchers. The school supervisors can monitor the competency level of senior high school TVL students on modular learning. With that, they can create appropriate TVL education strategies amidst the COVID-19 pandemic crisis to enhance, improve learning strategies in the absence of face-to-face classes. The Department of Education as well, aligned in TESDA, can create effective strategies to enhance easy, simple, and realistic teaching activities and learning evaluation on TVL areas. The teachers can also implement proper and appropriate TVL education strategy to enhance effective distribution, proper orientation and retrieval of module, and do effective monitoring on the uneducated parents, reluctant modular responses, and other learning activities. Then, the parents can acquire easy and simple modular responses and submission to the teachers. the students can support and manage the parental guidance to enhance high spirit of educational endeavors towards progressive and effective modular learning modality. Furthermore, the researchers may utilize the result of these tests to include interrelated literature and other components of research works.
The scope of limitation of our study. The study only limited to the previous senior high school students of Liloan National Technical Vocational High School, school year 2021-2022. Also, it focuses on the effectiveness of modular learning modality and measures the competency level of students' performances and will not cover other areas. Definition of terms. Competency level refers to ranges of learnings, whether the PBL learner are competent or incompetent. Printed media refers to learning materials in form of hard copy modules to the PBL Trust Senior High School students. Next is the modular learning modality. Refers to distance learning mode utilizing printed media or modules to convey information and lessons to the students. Amidst the COVID-19, it is one way of learning modalities to still continue the teaching and learning process. Mode refer to types of learning delivery that were implemented amidst COVID-19 pandemic. Senior high school. This is defined as senior high school students. PBL competency. This refers to the learning assessment of PBL senior high school students on their laboratory performances. The first subtopic that we included in our study was the K-12 Enhanced Basic Education Act. According to the study of Mitzi et al. 2019, education is one of the most important and most powerful tools that a person can acquire. It is a necessity and a treasure that should be enhanced by continuous learning and should be shared with everyone through teaching. The Department of Education in the country is almost 100 years old now. It has grown to become one of the enormous bureaucracies, if not the largest government agency in the country. Every year, school enrollment tremendously increased due to the growing school-age population and the high value of the Filipinos towards education. Next is the TESDA. The Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, or TESDA, was established through the enactment of Republic Act No. 7796, otherwise known as the Technical Education and Skills Development Act of 1994, which was signed into law by President Fidel V. Ramos on August 25, 1994. The next subtopic that we include in our study is the rule of technical and vocational education and training, or TESDA. According to the study of T. et al. 2020, teachers play an important role to help students in solving problems in school and consequently preparing for their future career. Teachers can be the most featured to expose thinking style in class. This is the application of technical and vocational education and training program, which requires the students to be able to think creatively and critically in problem solving, as inventive problem solving is known to be creative method
Balik ka naman ikati, balik ka naman as intentive.
as inventive problem solving is known to be creative assessment methods for innovation. It is needed to guide design and technology teachers to expose the students to new technique of problem solving.
The next subtopic is the modular learning modality. Education is the only way for our society to adapt to its changing needs. As a result, no society can ever exist without the benefit of education. Members of a society learn how to enrich, disseminate, and alter information through education. For the growth of civilization, cultural heritage, as well as current social and scientific knowledge, must be preserved. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the entire world has seen changes in various aspects of life. Institutions that provide education are included in the education component that undergo a variety of severe alterations according to Andros et al. 2020, Priyatna 2020, Srinivasan 2020, and Arazali et al. 2020. So the next subtopic is the printed learning materials. So amidst the COVID-19, printed learning modality was one of the options where provision of self-learning modules is necessary that could stand without the help of the teachers, according to Jimenez 2021. Printed educational materials are widely used dissemination strategies to improve the quality of healthcare professionals' practice and patient health outcomes. Traditionally, they are presented in paper formats such as monographs, publications in peer-reviewed journals, and clinical guidelines, according to Geiger A 2020. So, the finding revealed that parents were mostly involved with the distribution and retrieval of modules strategies, as well as the time allotment for learning activities. The learning activities in the module and assessment. So, they were also in deal with the safety and health protocols in the distribution and retrieval of modules, which is very important in distributing the modules. So parents, on the other hand, stated that the time allotted for completing learning activities was insufficient due to the large number of activities. So this is one of the gaps presented in this study. So, furthermore, some parents reported that they were unable to assist their children in answering the learning tasks since they could not grasp some of the modules content. So the study then suggested that the learning activities must be reviewed and that the parent seminar must be held, according to Olivo 2021. Okay, the next subtopic will be measuring competency level of students' performances. So from the study of competency level, employers' expectations and work immersion performance of senior high school, technical, vocational, and livelihood students, the instrument was pilot tested on 20 grade 12 TVL senior high school students. The result of the evaluation was compared, analyzed, and interpreted to check the reliability of the items using the split half method function of SPSS or reliability analysis. So the instrument was found to be highly reliable after it garnered high scores in 3 statistical tests, namely the Cronbach's Alpha 0.967, Spearman-Brown coefficient 0.9, and Goodman split half coefficient 0.9. So this study used frequency to describe the demographic profile of the TVL students according to sex, socioeconomic classification, TVL strand, and specialization. Mean was used to describe the collective assessment of respondents of the study. Mann-Whitney test was used also to determine the existence of difference between the competency level of TVL students and competency expectations of the employers. So t-test for independent samples was also used in determining the difference between the work immersion performances of TVL students when they were grouped according to sex and TVL strength. Analysis of variance was also used to determine if a significant difference exists between the work immersion performances of TVL students when they were grouped according to socioeconomic classification and specialization. This is according to Robletti and L 2021. So this is the theoretical framework of our study, which we use the constructivist learning theory of Jean Piaget that anchored to the different variables, the primitive learning materials, modular learning modality, and the competency level. So this study is anchored to the constructivist theory of Jean Piaget that determines learning through module. Constructivism claims that learning calls for the student to be active in the lesson and be creative when it comes to material. Constructivist theory also invites students to construct their own knowledge through exploration, as opposed to the traditional educational model that simply provides students with correct answers or facts. To assert the constructivist method, teachers need to provide students with lessons that they can employ in real-world situations. In relation to this proposed theory, this study also focuses on modular learning modality on TVL courses, wherein teachers provide self-paced modules that allow students to construct their own knowledge through exploration. So now let's proceed to the methodology. So let's start with the research design. This study will be using quantitative descriptive research approach since it attempts to collect quantifiable information for statistical analysis of the population sample. Specifically, this study aims to determine the effectiveness of modular learning modality to the competency level of TVL students.
Next is the research lockup. This quantitative descriptive study will be conducted in Liloan National Technical Vocational High School located at Poblacion Liloan, Southern Leyte. This school mainly offers courses focusing on the technical vocational education and training. Furthermore, it is a TESDA accredited school. The respondents of this study will be the TVL Senior High School students of Liloan National Technical Vocational High School. Next is the sampling technique. The population sample will be using simple random sampling, referring to sampling analysis of Loven's formula to analyze the sampling size with a margin of error of positive negative 5%, where n is equal to n divided by the sum of 1 plus n squared. This will be done by randomly selecting individuals or members from a whole population. It provides each individual or member of a population with an equal and fair probability of being chosen. Next is the statistical analysis. This study will be using quantitative descriptive statistical analysis, frequency counts, and percentage. Since it determines the competency level of TVL senior high school performances to measure the effectiveness on modular learning modality amid COVID-19, wherein it involves statistical techniques. Quantitative analysis involves the quantifying of data with the help of some form of statistical analysis. Generally, it involves statistical techniques like significance testing, regression analysis, multivariate analysis, and etc. In order to make statistical inference about particular sample of data drawn from our population.
So let's proceed to the research instrument. In collecting the data, the researchers will prepare a survey questionnaire that should be based and anchored on Philippine Tibet competency assessment and certification system, wherein the assessment process seeks to determine whether the students, graduate or worker can perform to the standards expected in the workplace based on the defined competency standards. Certification is provided to those who meet the competency standards. The questionnaire should be distributed and answered by the respondents, and this will be done through utilizing the printed questionnaires.
Data gathering procedures. The researcher will make a letter for the approval to conduct the study at Liloan National Technical Vocational High School, addressed to the school principal. The study will be conducted for 2 weeks. The researchers will use simple random sampling to equally and accurately determine the respondents using Slavin's formula to analyze the sampling size with a margin of error of positive negative 5%, where E is equals to population divided by 1 plus n E squared. The researcher will also construct a validated questionnaire online on the Philippine Tibet Competency Assessment and Certification System, or PTCS. Then, the survey questionnaire will contain questions on accomplished competency assessment tasks and records based on PTCS criteria or the rubrics. This will be asked from the teachers of the TVO students of LNTVHS. This will serve as the primary source of evidences to determine the competency level of students' performances on modular learning. The researcher will distribute the survey questionnaire to the respondents and briefly discuss some terms to the respondents so that the respondents can answer the questionnaire with full knowledge of the responsibility as the subject of the study. After the respondents answer the questionnaire, the researcher will also collect and tally the data for interpretation process. Then the researcher will ask a statistician help in determining the appropriate statistical tools to be used in interpreting the data gathered. Based on the data, the researcher will now come up with the conclusions and recommendations for this study. And these are the references of our research proposal